Hey everybody, welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Football Podcast for Week 8. Jeff Erickson here with Chris List. This is, as always, brought to you by our exclusive sponsors at WynnBET. They've been sponsoring us all season long. We appreciate their sponsorship. Crazy Week 8. We always say it's crazy. It was crazy. What's going on, Chris? How you doing?
It was crazy in a good way, is what it was. I know you don't agree with that, and I understand why.
Yeah.
But it was a really crazy week. I'm just going to start by saying, Dalton Del Don and I, as you may have heard, you heard that I got a royal flush once, but you also probably heard that I'm in a $6 million survivor pool, and there's supposed to be like 6,500 people sign up. Only 4,500 did. We're down to about 2,200. And of course, he and I are a team of destiny. We won some very improbable wins like the Ravens with that Tucker field goal. And this week we were debating, to take the Bengals or the Chiefs because we'd used the Rams and the Bills already. So it's Bengals or Chiefs. And I kind of wanted the Bengals. I really didn't think they could lose to the Jets, even though it was in New York. And even though it was a letdown spot, they just beaten the Ravens in Baltimore pretty soundly. And of course, they weren't going to take the Jets. It's just human nature to have a letdown. But I really didn't think the Jets could do it with Mike White. I just didn't think it was going to happen. But he talked me into taking the Chiefs. And I thought, you know what? There'll probably be more people in the Bengals. There are only slightly more, actually. When I saw the numbers, I was actually a little like, did we screw up? And plus, the Chiefs are playing the Giants. I don't want to root against my own team. But I let him have his way because I don't think he was wrong. I just my vibe was like the Bengals aren't going to lose this. And the Jets got ahead 7-0, and then they turned it over twice. They missed a field goal. It was 7-7. I thought, okay, not only the Bengals win, they cover. But the Jets just were relentless. They did not give up. It was really shocking. I thought, okay, after, this is fun, but it's over. But they didn't give up, and they won the game. And, they were sacking Burrow, at the end of the game when Burrow was trying to mount a drive. It was like the Jets looked like a real team.
Yeah, they sacked him early in the game, too, caused a fumble, and the Bengals were able to recover. But the Bengals got it to 17-7. They got it to 31-20 in the fourth quarter, but they could not stop the Jets. The only thing, they stalled them a little bit to force a field goal. And I thought, okay, I was about to tweet, hey, this was a really huge play in this game. But then I kind of held off. Then Burrow threw the pick. Throwing that pick when they were up 31-26 was the biggest play in the game. One of the biggest plays in the game. But biggest defensive play for the Jets in the game, I thought. And then, of course, we got to talk about the call. The call isn't why the Bengals lost the game, but it prevented them the one final chance at winning the game. You saw the play, right, where Mike Hilton got called for the helmet-to-helmet hit, where he was lower than the player.
Right. The guy lowered. I forgot about that. That was awesome. That was a great call.
Yeah,
that was amazing. It was like, for me, it was like, oh, the Jets might do this. I'm like, okay, they're going to have to punt. Burrow's going to have a shot.
They got him stopped on 3rd and 11. That was a critical call. Especially because you turn around and the Bengals have to, the Bengals are going to have time. They had their timeouts. Okay, we're going to play like crap and win. Okay, or maybe we have a chance. They finally got a stop, and the one time they get a stop, the refs bail them out. Like, come on. How many times have we talked about this here? Don't make an error of commission,
right?
If you're a referee, don't decide the game. This was like parachuting in and saying, "No, I will decide this game." How can this not even be reviewable? So ridiculous.
It was terrible. I have to say though, the commission omission thing is huge here, because if you don't call that, it doesn't really affect the game. Like, okay, you didn't deter a guy from making a helmet-to-helmet hit if he had really done it. Okay, maybe you should have done that, but it doesn't affect the game. It's no big deal. A sin of commission where you actually insert that into the game and it's not reviewable, and the Bengals' chance just evaporates that they had a really good chance to win that game if they don't have that call. But when it goes that much in my favor, I just have to enjoy it, because I really, I've just barely gotten over the tendency in the NFL to have bad bounces, to have it and then have something crazy happen, like a stupid fumble and change the game completely. And I'm like, that's just football. I'm good with it. And now the biggest hurdle I have to get over is, the ref screwed me. Like, that's another thing about football that happens. And I'm getting over it. The refs make a terrible call. I'm just like, all right, that's just part of the game. And so I'm going to enjoy it when it goes my way. And, it didn't totally go my way. I think you're in the beam pool, and I forgot to get my pick. I thought I didn't realize I'd taken the Rams. Rich Beam hadn't been the best about emailing everybody and keeping up to date. So I was trying to find his email, and I found one in my email that was from like week 6. And I looked at it and I was like, all right, I'll go Rams. And I didn't realize week 7 I'd send the Rams. That's on me. And it's
100% on you.
Well, it's on me, but also like, I don't keep the spreadsheet, so it's not like it's not great.
He sends it out every week, dude.
I didn't get it. I didn't get the week 7 one. I just had the week 6 one. So I was like, all right, I'll go Rams. And then, so that was on Saturday morning, my time, which is Friday night, your time. And then I don't hear from him until like maybe 15 minutes before the game. And he's like, hey, you didn't get this in, which is my fault. But I wasn't checking my email in that 15 minutes. And so I just flat missed it. And I got to sign the Bengals because they were the highest on the board, even though I would have taken the Chiefs just to be consistent. So I lost that. And that,
some die so that others may
there
live.
Needed to be a sacrifice. There needed to be a sacrifice. And it was my fault. I sent him a pick that I already made. And the rule is very fair. You just get the biggest on the board. That's actually a very merciful rule.
You could have gotten nothing.
You could have got nothing, or I could have actually got lucky and been like, okay, you've used up all the ones that have started. You got to do Monday night, which is what I wanted, was the Chiefs anyway. Mm-hmm. But whatever. I'm not going to bitch about that too much. It is what it is. So I did lose on that. And the Chiefs haven't won yet, right? The Chiefs could lose tonight. And then, all this celebration is moot. But the point is I would have taken the Bengals if I didn't take the Chiefs. So even if the Chiefs lose, I would have lost anyway. So that's that. Anyway, it's pretty exciting. It was a huge 850 people or something went out in my pool out of about 2,200, and then a bunch lost on other teams. So, we're down to about 1,200, I think. It's still a lot of teams left, but when the prize is $6 million, you start to get, okay, it's worth 6,000 now. My equity are 5,000. So it's starting to get a little bit real. We'll see. When another big iceberg, goes into the sea, and then we'll really be cooking with gas.
Yeah, for sure. Michael Carter looked really good in this game. And some of this is the Bengals were not tackling well at all, but Carter was good. And he looked good the week before, actually, when they got thumped by the Pats. He was like the one bright spot. He had over 100 yards from scrimmage in that game, too. So my one takeaway is he's legit. He's a guy that I think is starting to work his way in the rotation more. It helps that Tevin Coleman got hurt, so it just took one guy away. And he got a huge percentage of the workload, the snaps over Ty Johnson. He's the guy now. And, this is what a lot of people predicted that would happen. It just happened in week 8, not in week 1.
Yeah. You might have dropped him. I actually picked him up in a league where he was dropped. I didn't start him. I benched him for Nick Chubb when Nick Chubb was announced. Yeah. But it looks like he is the guy. There wasn't really good competition there. The Jets offense was so inept with Zach Wilson, and you got to wonder, they just got rid of Darnold for 3 picks, and Darnold still looks bad. Although I'll more on Darnold later, but Zach Wilson, he showed nothing, absolutely nothing. You have Mike White, this journeyman, not even journeyman, but just kind of scrub late round pick who's hung around and looks competent against a decent defense. Makes you wonder. Makes you wonder about Zach Wilson, but we are burying the lead.
Makes you wonder about why they traded for Joe Flacco too, but that's all right. He's going to start on Thursday. Mike White will, by the way. Go ahead. You were going to say we buried the lead.
We buried the lead because for me the lead was this, but the other lead is you and I we were off the Derrick. We didn't want to draft Derrick Henry. We thought workload was too much. Better to go out a year too early than a year too late, and we were wrong. We basically passed on the top guy, and he was going 5, 6, 7. And I took Jonathan Taylor and even Saquon Barkley in a league instead of him. I don't know if the Barkley one, I think he might have been gone, but I took at least Taylor once or twice ahead of Henry. And I didn't get Henry in any of my leagues. And he was the number one player. He was not only catching a few passes, he was way ahead. Now it looks like he might be out for the year. And so this is a seismic shift. Now you can argue, well, see, that's what happens when you get that kind of workload. Or you can say, well, he broke his foot. It could have happened on any carry to any player. Right. And it wasn't like Derrick Henry was declining as a player, like he's Eddie George, at the last year. No, he was still getting 5 yards a carry and bulldozing everybody. But either way, it's a seismic shift in the fantasy landscape. A lot of people who are in the top, other leagues overall and big contests are going to, that's it. They can pick up Jerry McNichols. They can, mix and match, but it's going to be a seismic shift in the power rankings of your fantasy league. And it's, this is fantasy football. I mean, this is what happens. Sometimes the best player in the league is out, and McCaffrey could be back next week, and there might be a new best player, or his injury might linger yet further. We don't know, but we're really kind of without a number one right now. I mean, we don't really have a number one player. I mean, is it Cooper Kupp? Right. Is it Devontae Adams? Is it Alvin Kamara? Is it Austin Eckler? I mean, who's the number one player? We don't really know right now.
It's week to week, different matchup there. I mean, if you're drafting today, it's crazy. I mean, Alan and I know Alan's watching right now. Alan and I did a first round mock for just the two of us, and then he actually did a midseason draft. So last week, so it's funny. We do another one today, it'd be different again all of a sudden. Yeah, we don't know if this was like wear and tear or just did he get stepped on? Did he get hit a certain way? Is that it? But was he more susceptible to an injury when getting stepped on? We don't know. I don't know for sure. I can't answer that.
Anybody can get hurt. A guy can get hurt on one play. A guy can get with no workload, can come in and be injured for the year. It happens. Also, when you're getting 30 carries a game, you're also more likely to get hurt because you've got more opportunities to get hurt every single game. I mean, Henry's a monster, but he's getting 30 hits more because he makes contact. He's not a run around the guy. He's a run through the guy type of back. Now he's bigger, stronger, more physical, so he probably has a bigger tolerance for that kind of thing than the average back. But it's impossible to say whether this caught up to him or whether this is just dumb luck. I mean, it's you can't really say. And
right.
In the end, I'm sort of like it's kind of like the discussion I had last week on Twitter. It's kind of like if you knew what you knew now, you wouldn't take it. I mean, you can't really argue with how he's done for 8 weeks. You might still make the playoffs because he's what he's done just 8 weeks into the season. So he's still better than, most of the first round picks probably in the end, just because the production's so front loaded and got you so many wins single-handedly. But if you knew what you knew now, you might not have taken him. So it's
right.
The reason or the cause is not always the thing. It's just, okay, he got hurt. Now, knock on wood, every single player you have on all of your teams is one injury away from being in the same conversation too.
That's true. And looking at the remainder in Tennessee, the guy that was supposed to be his backup, at least in draft season, was Darrington Evans. He's out for the season too with a knee injury. Jerry McNichols is next. He's got the most snaps so far among all the other running backs in Tennessee. 119 snaps so far this season. Kerry Blasingame had 45 snaps. They have Dontrell Hilliard. The trade deadline is Tuesday. I got to think they're going to trade for someone. This is yet another team we can suggest Marlon Mack might go to, but the Colts aren't going to trade to them. I don't think so.
I was looking at a Mike Clay thread or tweet that he was saying how Mack will help the Titans a little bit, but it's not like he's going to move the needle. And then the Colts would also be helped by getting a pick from them. I think the Colts just blew it, though. I mean, Carson Wentz, we got to talk about what a disastrous.
We'll do that in a second. Yeah.
But the point is, they're now what? The Colts are 2-5 now or something like that. And the Titans are 5-2, and the Titans have swept them. I mean, this division is kind of over. I mean, I do think Henry's a needle mover. I don't believe in those fanatical religious people who only think that running backs never matter. I think Derrick Henry is an important player. You see how easy Tannehill's QB sneak is because the whole team's worried about Henry at the goal line. Tannehill,
that 4th and 1 play. It was in the middle of the field too. They did a 4th down play and he waltzed.
It's just so easy because Henry's creating that and some of the play action, everything. So I think it's going to hurt them. But man, 3 games and a sweep. That's a 4-game lead. That's a really tough. A tough gap to overcome. So,
right.
But I do think we'll see immediately that Henry, I think will, missing him will make a difference for that team. Marlon Mack might help, or who else could it be? I mean, Miles Sanders just went to IR. The Eagles had extra backs, and we'll talk about them too. But I don't know. I don't know who they trade for.
Yeah, I don't know either. And they only have 2 days to do it. That's the other thing. I mean, it helps that they've got that huge lead on the Colts. Plus, the other 2 teams in the division are just eating paste right now. They're just so
those are like bye weeks. But the biggest one is, but they also, it's more than just that because they'll make the playoffs. But it's like they beat the Chiefs. They beat the Bills head to head. Like they're the 1 seed right now, right?
Yep.
I mean, they, as far as they're concerned, it's like they don't want to just be like, well, we'll slip a little bit. We got this division wrapped up. They want they want to buy. They want the buy. There's only one buy, and home field. So they need to keep going. But now it's really tight. It's really tight in the AFC. There was nobody pulling away. The Bengals just lost. They were the 1 seed. The Titans that don't have Henry now. The
Chargers are imploding now.
The Patriots are dangerous. They're 4-4, and Belichick's teams get better. I've got a 2001 vibe about the Patriots now. And the Chiefs are 3-4, and hopefully they win tonight. I hate saying that, but I hope it's true. The Raiders are the other team that's number 2 seed right now. I mean, this is a wide open conference right now.
That's right. And hey, don't forget the Jets have the tiebreaker over the Titans too. That might become relevant someday, but no, probably not. That's a weird thing. The Titans are on this roll. They're in such a good position, but they lost to the Jets. Yeah, just like the Bengals.
Well, the Jets beat the Bengals and Titans. The Saints beat the Bucks and Packers, but lost to the Giants and Panthers. I mean, it's really, there's been a lot of parity in this season.
It's a Pete Rozelle dream. It's perfect. All right. Before we talk about the Colts side of things here real quick, if there's one thing we appreciate here at RotoWire, it's making good decisions, something that Carson Wentz doesn't do. Even more so, making the right decision. Listen up, folks. I have an incredible offer for you with RotoWire's newest partner, WynnBET, the premier digital casino and sportsbook app. WynnBET is now the exclusive sponsor for RotoWire's Fantasy Podcast. WynnBET brings you all the latest action with a user-friendly interface, moneyline bets, boosted parlays, over-unders, round robins, live betting, and so much more at your fingertips. Want a break from sports betting? Head into WynnBET's digital casino and take a spin on roulette, double down on blackjack, slam the slots, or try your hand at Baccarat. WynnBET is currently available in 6 states, Colorado, Indiana, Michigan, New Jersey, Tennessee, Virginia, while rapidly expanding. At WynnBET, the possibilities are limitless. WynnBET is currently offering all RotoWire listeners a risk-free bet up to $500 on your first wager. Download WynnBET now. That's WYNNBET. WynnBET, the exclusive partner for RotoWire's Fantasy Podcast. All right, Chris, we teased this earlier here. Carson Wentz does not make good decisions. He made a couple horrific decisions in this game.
Well, okay, so I barely saw the pick 6 at the goal line. But the overtime thing, first of all, I have Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor produces every week, but he's underused. I mean, they should use him more. I was saying, okay, how about an 80-yard touch? Everything was going my way. The Bengals lost, clear the way. We were 4-0 on best bets, 3-0 on best bets. We had the Patriots, not best bets, super contest, had the Patriots coming up, and which ended up winning. And then we had the Colts in overtime. And I'm like, all right, let's do this. Hand off to Jonathan Taylor, 80-yard touchdown, game over in overtime. They got the ball first. They didn't hand him. They start throwing every play. And then it's 3rd down. And here's Jonathan Taylor. I put the video in my observation column. And he's standing there in the flat, wide open. Check it down. Get a first down. Keep going. He tries to force it to Pittman, like 3 people covering him, throws a pick. Titans get it, win the game. And Carson Wentz has just done this all last few games, all year, basically. He's healthy now. He looks good. He's moving well. Dude, check it down. You are not that good. You are not that good. Just there's Jonathan Taylor. Get the ball in his hands. Hand it off more. It's ridiculous. Like this offense should not be running everything through Carson Wentz. He's not bad. He actually has made throws and he looks mobile and he's healthy. But just check that thing down. He's standing there with just such a bad decision, inexcusably bad. And that's why they lost the game. And it's frustrating because I'm a Taylor owner. But I can't pitch too much. 4-1. Yeah, that was the one loss. It is what it is. He should have done differently. I picked a team that has Carson Wentz as his QB, so I signed up for it. So it is what it is. Just frustrating to watch.
You can be on the right side for 80% of a game. It doesn't matter.
I don't even care. There's no right side. There's just the right result. Going forward, I've made this point. Going forward, we should look at probability, look at tendencies, look at indicators, not results. Looking backwards, you either had the right result or the wrong result. Shut the F up. You either won or lost. Take the L or take the W and move on.
But the process, Chris. But the process.
The probability doesn't work backwards. Backwards is 100 or 0. It either happened or it didn't. Forward, we don't know. So we use probability to estimate. Once it's in the books, it's in the books. I made a bad bet. I'm 4-1. Should have taken the Titans.
Yeah. And so it goes. And we move on. And we'll do that right now with a couple other of the games here. The Sunday night game. Dallas, without Dak Prescott, goes into Minnesota, beats them. Cooper Rush throws for over 300 yards. The Dallas defense shuts down Minnesota. I think that's the real takeaway is Dallas, it's like Bruce Willis and Die Hard. He now has a machine gun. Dallas now has a defense.
Yeah. If it's Last Boy Scout, you could combine those two things.
Yeah.
The Dallas was just a better team. I mean, every time Minnesota had the ball, it was like Cousins was under attack. He could barely complete a pass. And then when Cooper Rush had the ball, it's like, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to stop the run and stop the 50-yard touchdown. But if you needed 15 yards on 3rd and 12, no problem, Dallas. Here, Amari Cooper's wide open. CeeDee Lamb's wide open. Let's just back off and let him get a 13-yard catch on 3rd and 11. I mean, it was I had Minnesota with the points because I knew that Dak, might not play. And I'm like, dude, why are you letting him get a 3rd and 12 or a 2nd and 12 for 15 yards? You just like, what kind of defense are you playing? Take a risk. Yeah, maybe they'll beat you deep, but you can't give up a third. You can't give up a 3rd and long 5 times. It was ridiculous. Yeah. Dallas was just the better team by far. And, obviously Dak, they would have blown him out if Dak was the quarterback, but Cooper Rush played competently enough. And Dallas is just a good team. I mean, they're just good. I hate the Cowboys, but every time I watch them, I'm impressed by them. Remember, they don't even have DeMarcus Lawrence, who may come back. They played without Dak. This is just a good team, even though their coach is not, splitting the atom. They're just they're well coached on both sides of the ball in terms of their execution. They don't make a lot of errors. They're just a good team.
Yeah, they are. And and got to give McCarthy credit. Feels hard to say that, but then again, we have this caricature, he sucks at one thing, time management.
Right.
He's probably good at a lot of other things.
Well, he's probably good at something because he won a Super Bowl. But remember, he had peak Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers might be the best quarterback of all time. I mean, Brady is. But in terms of just like surrounding him with the right people, talent-wise, it's close. And, they won that one Super Bowl. They messed up a lot. They should have beat Seattle in that NFC title game. They had him dead to rights. They just blew it. And also, there was like that 3 or 4 year stretch where Rodgers, 4 or 5 years ago was not Rodgers. And I don't really understand how that happened. And then LaFleur took one more year of Rodgers and was so-so. And the second year was last year he won MVP. And this year he looks like an MVP level guy again. And so that was another Mike McCarthy thing. He was running the offense. And I think Ben McAdoo was calling plays at one point in that offense. But he couldn't, Rodgers even was ordinary under McCarthy. So that's, I don't know. He probably does something right. He probably knows how to be the boss of a team, I guess. It seems like the team doesn't find him to be a laughing stock. They seem to play hard. So I guess that's something.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, my general point is too, it's like we always have this polarized opinion about a coach, especially coaching, I feel like, where we just know a part of the picture. We see one critical decision made or a comment made and just latch onto that. And there's probably lots of other things that are in play too. I mean, sometimes the decision is so egregious that you just have to go with it. But there are other times that there's probably a lot that we don't know.
I agree with that. I think we were way too, what did he say about, analytics? What did he do on 4th down? How could he do that? And we just assume, oh my God, this guy's a moron. How can, and that's just one thing he said. And there's so much to coaching and running, the complexity of running an organization at this scale under this spotlight. We have jobs where we talk on the radio and our podcasts and write about stuff. I mean, we have no idea what it really means to run a large organization that has that much scrutiny and manage this kind of thing. And I'm not saying, everybody who does that's good at it, but yeah, I think that's correct that we make crazy assumptions when we look at a couple of small things and then extrapolate and say, this guy's an idiot.
Yeah. I think we do that all the time.
But we're going to keep doing it. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, of course. I'd expect nothing less of you. The audience would expect nothing less of you. In fact, that's what they tune in for.
Yeah,
so
of course we're going to do it.
Yes, exactly. Let's talk a little of Saints and Bucks. What a game. I mean, Saints lose their starting quarterback in the first half. He's probably going to be out a long time, they're saying now, with Jameis Winston with that knee injury. And meanwhile, like Brady to Godwin was working the entire game. And I thought, okay, they're just going to carve them up. They got on that run in the second half. I was like, okay, now it's finally over. Brady, now the Bucks are going to do it. The Saints screw up the end game, and the Bucks throw the pick six instead. Everything. Like everything pointed towards the Bucs pulling this out of their butt, and instead, it didn't happen that way. It's funny how that sometimes everything points towards one expectation, it doesn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, the Bucks downgraded from a person to Simeon even mid-game, and even that couldn't make the difference. The other thing is that Brady pulled a Rivers. I mean, you hate to say it, you hate to see it. I don't know if he gets in the Hall of Fame now, Jeff. When you pull a Rivers, it's you don't belong in the Hall of Fame. I mean, dude, you had it. All you needed, they just needed a field goal at that time. I think they just needed a field goal, and he went full Rivers, and you don't do that. He threw the pick six. But the Saints always play the Bucs tough, and I knew this. This is gonna be a tough game for them. The Saints are not soft, and they can slug it out. And the Bucs secondary is really bad. They're really bad. And Simeon was he's very game managing of it, but he came in with a big lead, and he did what he had to do. And then the defense did well enough.
It wasn't a big lead when he came in. It was like 10-7, 13-7. I mean, he's the one that
16-7, though?
No, he threw the second touchdown pass in the first half.
Oh, did? Okay. Yeah. So then maybe
like
he just
it was 10-7.
But he got like 5.5 yards per attempt. He just didn't make a lot of mistakes. And so
I don't know. It worked out. The defense played really well. They forced Brady into some bad spots here and there. They sacked him a couple of times. And like you said, sometimes it's just the Saints always play hard against them. I downgraded Mike Evans big time in my rankings, and for a long time I was looking pretty smart. And then they had a 40-yard touchdown pass there, so I wasn't so smart. But I did at least take the Saints and force the bet against you. So
I lost double. I took the Dolphins.
Yes,
I should have taken the Jets. I should have taken the Jets or the Giants, but I didn't want to take the Giants because the $100 or whatever I would have won wasn't worth getting knocked out. And I should have taken the Jets, but I really didn't believe the Jets could do it. And then if they did it, I'd be happy enough that I wouldn't need it. So I went with the Bills and with the Dolphins. And so we're about even. You might even be up a little bit now.
Yeah, that was a good swing for me there. But the sequence there right after they got the first and goal where they throw twice and incomplete twice. Don't even force the Bucs to burn timeouts. Like, oh God, they're totally setting this up for Brady, and he's gonna be edified again and all that. Yeah. You should have used your Rivers quote though on your snapshot for your Twitter thing about your article. Did you do that? Because I only went straight to your article. I didn't look on your Twitter feed today.
I might have. I screenshotted a big piece of it, so I maybe
because you got that Rivers defender that follows you on Twitter. So
I know. Sure. There's one guy. He stopped defending him though. Rivers played at a level that caused him to retire last year, and he was defending him all year. I did not have the trade. Yes, I did. It is on the screenshot. He pulled a Rivers, and I trademarked that. I think a Rivers is a thing, right? It's like it's that soul crushing pick six that when everything looks like you have a chance, that's the Rivers.
That's right. We're going to talk a few other games, including Pittsburgh, Cleveland. I got a little snide remark on Urban Meyer, so we'll get to that in a sec. But first, a note from our friends at Yahoo. The new NFL season is underway, and Yahoo is excited to kick off daily fantasy football. There will be a ton of big prize contests throughout the season on Yahoo, including their multi-entry contest now being shark-free. To celebrate the beginning of football season and Yahoo Daily Fantasy becoming shark-free, Yahoo is giving all users the opportunity to claim free $10 in contest entry credit. Users can take advantage of this free $10 contest entry credit offer to join one of Yahoo's biggest clients. In addition to the free credit, Yahoo has a $1 million DFS football contest live. The $1 million contest features $1 million in total prizes, including first place receiving $100,000 and an entry to the first ever Yahoo Fantasy Football Championship live finals event, which will occur at MGM National Harbor in Maryland this December. Play daily fantasy football on Yahoo this season. Visit sports.yahoo.com/dailyfantasy/welcome to claim the free $10 offer to get started. Okay, really quickly on the Jaguars, a couple things. One, James Robinson injury really sucked. I have him in a few key places, including the NFFC Classic. It hurts my team. Plus, it destroyed the Jaguars' offense. It really just crushed them. The other thing is, take my little comments earlier about nuance in coaches and throw them out the window when it comes to Urban Meyer, because he is so out to lunch, Chris. Okay, late in the game, they get that garbage time touchdown to make it 24-6, right? It's like 2 minutes left in the game. And, they'd been on the struggle bus all day. Good, yeah, you got your little touchdown for Trevor Lawrence. Now get him out of the game and all that. They kicked the extra point. Instead of taking a chance to get it within 2 scores and 16 points, they just kicked the extra point 24-7. Then, still 3 scores down, minute 50 left, they kick the onside kick. What the hell, Chris? If you're not going to try to get within 2 scores, what are you doing an onside kick? And then putting Lawrence back in the game after the onside kick was returned for a touchdown. What are you doing here? What's your point?
Yeah, no, that's right. He just seems out to lunch. And I took Seattle. I didn't want to take Seattle because I was like, Geno Smith's the quarterback, but I couldn't take the Jaguars.
Right.
And I was trying to do the score when I was predicting the score. And I was like, it's hard for me to make this more than a 3-point game. But I'm glad I did because they just don't show up. They don't throw to their wide receivers. Marvin Jones, Laviska Shenault. I know Jones had a drop, but it's like, dude, like you don't even try. You're not even, you're throwing to like Carlos Hyde. You're throwing to like these scrubs. You're throwing to like your tight end or Carlos Hyde. You're not even.
Maybe that's Lawrence just checking down though. Is that possible?
But maybe. But like, dude, it's Seattle's defense. It's not even a good defense. Like you're not even. It's just like the extra point is emblematic of it. It's like you're not even doing something that could result in anything. Like why are you even playing football? What is the point of your franchise? Like why are you out there? You just got the number 1 overall generational prospect. You're squandering him, making him look bad. Maybe he's not as good as advertised. Usually those number 1 overall generational guys are, Andrew Luck or Peyton Manning. Usually they're pretty damn good, but it is just like, why are they even playing football? Like the Texans suck. But the Texans at least like have a purpose. It's like the Jaguars just don't even seem to have a purpose.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, at least the Texans were fighting hard at the end of the game. I mean, the Jaguars were fighting, but not for any particular purpose. That was the weird thing. It was awful. I think and I think Lawrence has devolved some so far. I don't think he's really improved at all. I don't think
there's Trevor. Who's the real Trevor Siemian? Jeff is what you're saying.
Yeah. Trevor Ray. It's the real
Trevor Ray. He's devolved one step below Siemian. Trevor Ray.
Yeah, but and he's not getting any help. I mean, Marvin. There's a 3rd and 16 play. Lawrence is like under pressure. Throws this perfect throw to Marvin Jones. Drop, and it would have been a first down. Okay, fine, I get it. And maybe that's why he's not throwing. Maybe their wideouts just aren't that good. They lost DJ Chark. It's Marvin Jones and Laviska Shenault.
Yeah, Shenault has no burst. It seems like I don't know, but still, like. It just seems like, I mean, obviously Aaron Rodgers, but the Packers had no wideouts in a game against Arizona on the road. Mm-hmm. And Rodgers had 5.5 yards an attempt, but they were making plays. They just had a purpose. They just, they actually like ran an offense.
Yeah.
I don't understand what's going on with the Jaguars. I don't really, I don't understand them. I don't know what they're doing. And they may get the number 1 pick again, actually. And so maybe eventually if they fire Meyer and get another number 1 pick, maybe this team will start to, and they'll get ETN back next year and, maybe they'll have a team, they'll get Chark back, but man, they're just so far from having being a credible organization.
There's 2 0-8 teams now. There's the Texans. I mean, there's not the Texans. We got
the Lions.
0-7 in the Jaguars, 0-8 in the Lions.
No, the Jaguars won. The Jaguars won. They beat Miami.
Oh yeah, they're one. You're right. I'm an idiot. Okay,
there's only one. There's only one. I wouldn't call you an idiot for that mistake, Jeff.
Yeah,
but
it was a bad mistake though.
There's only one, and it's the Lions. But the Lions. Remember, they were a very strong 0-7. And I made my best bet the Panthers, which covered. Thank you, Sam Darnold, for concussing yourself to get that last first down. I really appreciate it. I know that you care about me. I care about you. We're good friends. But I should have made I knew immediately afterward that I should have made the Eagles my best bet, because they were laying 3.5 on the road against a strong 0-7, Jeff. It was a very strong 0-7. They gave good games against the Ravens and Vikings and Rams. This is a strong 0-7. And they're laying 3.5. And it was like, why are the Eagles laying more than a field goal on the road against a strong 0-7? But I knew immediately.
What am I missing game? Yeah.
And they're just going to kill them. And of course, and the Eagles were getting killed by good teams like Dallas. And it was just one of those games where you just, you've been bullied and you go beat up on the person you can beat up on. And Detroit's, strong 0-7 is only because other teams they've been overlooking them. And then you get a team that needs the game like the Eagles did, and they just killed them. And it was just such a beautiful thing. Now, I don't understand why Miles Sanders getting hurt was worse for Kenneth Gainwell. Like, you're like, I have him in case Kenneth Gainwell gets hurt. And then he gets hurt, and they're like, oh, but we need to bring in Jordan Howard's carcass. And then Boston Scott, wait, we always love Boston Scott. And suddenly, Gainwell, he did have 13 carries, but he didn't do anything.
Boston Scott started the season getting no offensive snaps.
Yep.
And Kenneth Gainwell started the season stealing goal line carries from Miles Sanders and other games. Gainwell had dropped off in his snaps previous to Sanders' injury, but still, you would have thought after last week, okay, he's the main guy. All right, maybe he's not a full-time guy, but he was like a ghost in the first half. It was ridiculous. He had all of his carries were late, and they were crap carries.
And the game was over, so he didn't get any catches. It was, they didn't need to throw. Who knows? Like, I think Sirianni is not a good coach. I think he does weird stuff. And I think I started Gainwell in one league. I dropped him in a couple other leagues before Sanders got hurt a couple weeks ago. Yep. And then I also made some good calls. Trevor Ray, I made him make the Tony. We split this one Wavos league, and it was Tony versus Gainwell. We used Kadarius Toney. We'll see if Tony plays tonight. But yeah, that was kind of disappointing.
Yeah, it was. It definitely was. But it's just proof, though, or not proof, but it's a lesson that, don't go too crazy over like Jeremy McNichols this week. Although at least the trade deadline will be passed by the time you have to put your bids in because it's Tuesday. So we'll see. Tuesday nights are going to be our first set of waivers. But anyways, we haven't talked. We briefly alluded to Pats and Chargers. For the second time in two games, Bill Belichick made Justin Herbert look incredibly uncomfortable back there. It was out of it. There were some other bad plays out there, but Herbert had a bad game.
He had nowhere to go. He didn't know where he was going. He was like, "Where am I throwing the ball? I don't see anyone open. I don't know what to do."
Yeah. The Pats, this is their first win over a non-doormat, though, which is the weird thing about the Pats. Although they should have beaten the Cowboys, but I guess that should have been our sign that the Pats are legit. Right? That they had their chances to beat the Cowboys. Cowboys had a couple of turnovers in the red zone, one at the goal line, so that might have changed things. But the Pats also had a touchdown turn back in that game, and then had a fumble sack right after that, which is huge game changing. So, but the point is, Pats are pretty good. They're finding their way.
Okay, so the Pats every year get better. That's Belichick's genius. He finds out what they need to do to improve, and they improve.
Except for last year. Yeah.
Except for last year where they had like 8 defensive guys opt out, and it was, they had Cam Newton who was playing at a very low level, and then he got COVID. It was just sort of a lost season. But pretty much every year the Pats get better, and because they make the right adjustments. And it's a lot. People say this not just about football, but just like it's not really how good your observations are or how good your plan is. It's how quickly you can adjust when things go wrong and how willing you are to keep making adjustments to whatever your prior was. And Belichick seems very good and very willing to do that. And this team's giving me that 2001 vibe where you have this new QB. Brady wasn't the guy carrying the team in 2001. He was a caretaker mostly. He was competent. Mac Jones looks competent to me. They got a bunch of receivers. They're all kind of okay. Damon Harris looks pretty good. The line is decent. And their defense is getting better. And that's the thing that Belichick really knows is defense and how to make it a little better each week. And remember, they barely lost to the Bucs in that Brady reunion game. That was a close game. They barely lost to Dallas. They destroyed the Jets. And now they just went into Los Angeles and beat the Chargers. And I'm a little annoyed because I had Danny Dimes in there over Herbert. And I was like, I can't start Dimes over Herbert. But now I wish, knowing that Herbert got me 20 in the NFFC, I think Dimes is going to crush that. So I should have left it. But I was like, Herbert's my every week guy. But anyway, I think the Patriots have this 2001 vibe. And look at the AFC. There is nobody who's that scary. I think the best team in the AFC right now is probably the Bills. I think the Ravens might be number 2. But there's no team that you look at and you're like, this team can't be taken down. And if the Patriots start playing defense like that and flustering teams,
they still have 2 games against those Bills, by the way.
Right.
So that could be interesting.
They're 4-4 now. The Patriots. They're not a. They're probably not a team you're going to want to play in week 12, week 13 when they're make even further adjustments.
You got to remember, we're not even halfway through the season yet with the extra game. It's pretty crazy, but almost at the halfway point. But still a lot of football left to be played. That's the funny thing. These narratives are going to change more. We're going to have so much attrition with injuries. We're already starting to see it here we lost, Winston went down for the season. We just lost Derrick Henry. Probably we're gonna have a lot of other huge injuries.
Well, think about it
too.
We've already lost Barkley, McCaffrey, Cook for some games, Henry. I mean, this is the first round. The first, half of the, Barkley's kind of slipped to later in the first round. A lot of these guys have missed time already.
Yep.
And totally distorted the draft board. And, there's a couple of safe havens like Taylor and Eckler and Elliott. Those are kind of
Eckler was a panic this week.
Yeah.
I
don't trust him to stay healthy, but again, he still got 11 carries. He got a goal line carry where they kind of like rugbyed him into the end zone. He got a lot of catches. He's still doing it every week, but he makes me a little nervous. He's 200 pounds and they're running him to the thick of the line. And I don't totally trust the Chargers brain trust. I know that, what's his name? What's the coach's name again? The new guy that everyone loves in the Chargers. Yeah. Staley, the Brandon Staley, he said some smart stuff. I like what he said about the running game, but we'll see. Again, there's more to just on the negative side. There's more to coaching than we see, and maybe McCarthy or some of these guys that we give a hard time to are not as bad as we say. Some of the guys that say the right thing and seem sharp and with it are also don't understand certain other aspects of it. So I think the jury's obviously out. He's just a new coach. He said some smart stuff. He's done some smart things, but that team hasn't been that great lately. And I'm a bit, I don't know. I sort of, especially the offense, like Herbert's good, but like, they're just not opening it up anymore. There's just something a little off about the offense.
Yeah, I agree. This is two bad games in a row for the Chargers. One before the bye against the Ravens. Now this one against the Pats. Good opponents, but still. Elite offenses still do well against good opponents, and they did anything but that.
And the Ravens were not a good defense. I mean, the Bengals lit them up the following week. They've been lit up all year. Really, the only game they were good defense was against the Chargers.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Quick note from our next sponsor here, and then we'll hit Steelers. I want to talk about them real quick. Thrive is back for another season of fantasy football, and they're running huge guaranteed contests each week this NFL season. With Thrive Fantasy, you can eliminate the countless hours of research and focus on only the top-tier athletes that have the biggest impact on the game. Sign up today and get a free 6-month RotoWire subscription. Here's how you claim your free RotoWire subscription. 1, visit rotowire.com/thrive. 2, deposit a minimum of $10 and receive a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. 3, play in your first paid contest and receive a free 6-month RotoWire subscription. That's it. It's that easy. All right. Thanks to Thrive. Thanks to our Blue Wire Network sponsors as well. All right. Steelers and the Browns had a little ugly slugfest, 15-10 game. Oh, that was beautiful because I was on the Steelers as my best bet. And I had a feeling about this game. Cleveland's offense is just a big mess right now. Even when Baker Mayfield makes a play, then turn around and see Jarvis Landry fumble. Or a ball go off the hands of a receiver. Cleveland is just out of sorts right now.
Yeah, their defense is good. Their offense is hard to watch. I have Odell Beckham in the stake league, 14-team league. I don't even start him. Like I can't use him. Yeah. I just feel like he's not. The offense is so bad. Is it him? Is the offense? But the Steelers are hilarious. The Steelers try to fake a field goal, and they roll out their kicker, who actually was very patient on that play. He was like, it looked like a quarterback, Boswell, and then he gets concussed. He gets destroyed on that play. And then they don't have a kicker the rest of the game, so they're always going for 2. They're going on like 4th and whatever because they can't kick a field goal. And it was just hilarious. They just basically like gave away their kicker early in the game to a concussion that was completely self-inflicted because they decided to do something kind of wacky and let their kicker try to really run an NFL play. It was just kind of a crazy game.
It was a really crazy game. I'm looking for. I usually look forward to the rewatch of games. I'm not sure I'm looking forward to that one. Although Deontay Johnson did his thing. Najee Harris is great. So there's that. But the rest of that, it was a pretty ugly watch. We'll see. I'll power through that today, and we'll see what we can learn. Similarly, Buffalo Miami was just ugly for a half, and then Buffalo got theirs late, but. Miami, I mean, they played them hard. Your instincts were right to say the second time around would be more difficult. And for a while, that game was close. They got it to within, I think, it was 17-11.
17-11. Yeah. I was like, let's do this. And then the wheels fell off. I mean, the Bills are just so much better. And Josh Allen always gets his fantasy points, even though it didn't look like he was going to. Yeah, I don't know. It was a tough assignment. The Dolphins were game. This is what I thought would happen to the Jets Bengals, actually, is that, even if the Jets were game, it would, it would wear, like they just wouldn't be able to sustain it. But the Jets did. And the Dolphins couldn't. If the Dolphins went with 17-11 and just got a defensive stop, then they can win that game. But they couldn't do it.
Not only that, so we got the garbage time touchdown late. That was a life-affirming cover if you had the Bills. So that was nice.
No, that sucked. And the other thing was the Rams, Texans. The Texans got all this crazy garbage. I'm like, wow, it's only 16. Like, I had it at 14.5. It went up to about 16 before the kickoff.
Up to 16.5 even.
Oh, it did. So some people covered on that stuff. That's just insane.
We didn't get that benefit.
No. I thought Tyrod Taylor might play, and that's why I took the Texans. If I knew he wasn't, I would have probably taken the Rams. But you get it's the midweek. You get the benefit of the bargain if the uncertainty goes your way, and if it doesn't, you live with it. It's just you lock.
Well, hell, I didn't expect. We made the pick early on Minnesota Dallas. I actually took Minnesota because I just had the wrong line, I guess. But I was like, hey, I got a gift. A gift. No Dak. And
well, what's funny is in the Super Contest, that line had already moved to like Minnesota -3, I think, or something like that. Sorry, it stayed at Dallas -1 or -2 or something. And so Dalton and I thought about, should we take the quote free square with Minnesota and get ahead? And I said, I think we might be better off. We don't have to take Dallas, although obviously we should have in retrospect. Just ignore it. And a lot of people probably take them thinking they're getting a free square. And then, we're now like 4 or 5 games over 500, maybe 6 games over 500. We're not there yet. But if we have one good week, 2 more good weeks, depending how good, if it's 5-0, suddenly, we're not too far out of sort of the money. So anyway, that was nice because I'm sure some people just played it straight and took Minnesota.
Yeah. By the way, I'm seeing on Twitter a possible suggestion. Adrian Peterson could be the guy that the Titans sign.
I mean,
kind of mind-blowing.
Why not Barry Sanders?
Yeah.
Right. Well, no, Sislowski in the comments says Melvin Gordon trade. I mean, Melvin Gordon makes sense. The Denver's not going anywhere, and what do they really need him? He says Darius Guice. I don't think anyone will touch Darius Guice.
Denver is 4-4. They're not going to trade him. You just talked about how uncertain the East is. Denver sucks. We know this, but their head coach is hanging on for dear life. He's making decisions to preserve his job. They are not trade. We want Melvin Gordon to get traded. I've got Javonte Williams on the places. People want Melvin Gordon to get dealt. He's not getting dealt, guys. I mean,
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, like if they gave him a 3rd rounder for him, they wouldn't do it. I mean, it's not like going to change the Broncos that much. I mean, it's not like they're trading away, their key guy. It's just like, all right, well, we have another guy. We could put a 3rd stringer in there, and I don't even know who it is, Mike Boone or something like that. I don't know who the 3rd stringer is, but all right. Well, maybe they won't. You're right. They probably won't because they think like that.
It highly unlikely.
Yeah. 3rd rounder they wouldn't take. You don't think?
If Denver gets offered a 3rd rounder, I think they have to take it, but I don't think Tennessee's going to offer that either. We'll see.
Right.
I mean, we'll see how desperate they are. But
Tennessee's the 1 seed, Jeff. I mean, if they don't like the guys they have, Melvin Gordon's pretty good. Like,
it's true.
That's to me, that's like no problem. Take Melvin Gordon. You're the 1 seed. You're losing a key guy. I think they should, I think a 3rd rounder, maybe Melvin Gordon's not worth it. Maybe he's too banged up and old. He's pretty good, but like to get a guy who you felt like could be, 80% of it or whatever could be, the problem with Henry with replacing him is I don't think like these positions, this is why the running backs don't matter crowd is so out to lunch, is that it's not linear. Like, okay, here's your average running back who really doesn't matter. It can be replaced easily. And then here's a little bit above average back and he makes a small difference. I think when you get to the elites, the McCaffreys and the Henrys, it's actually a steep curve. Like there's only it makes a big difference there, but on average it doesn't. I saw some guy tweet something and I wrote about this last year. He was like, average starter in the NFL gets like 4.5 yards a carry. And the average backup gets like 4.45 or something like that. And I'm like, yeah, on average, it doesn't really matter, right? And they're like, so running backs doesn't matter. I'm like, but the average is not the same thing as the extremes. We talk about this, like, does the extremely good kicker matter? Yeah, of course it matters to have an extremely good kicker. Does it matter to have an above average kicker? Not much. The extremes may matter a lot, even though the average doesn't matter that much. So in my mind, like Henry, McCaffrey, Kamara, those guys matter a ton. But if you replace them with somebody who's pretty good, they might not matter. So that to me is a distinction that's not often made. And Melvin Gordon's probably in that doesn't really matter that much. So maybe they shouldn't trade much for him. But
so the difficulty is identifying the extremes, the outliers.
It's not
knowing
that
they are at the time.
In advance it is, but in retrospect,
that's what I mean. When you're at the draft table.
Well, at the draft table,
at the NFL draft table. I'm
sure.
saying here.
Sure, but sometimes you get lucky, right? I mean, sometimes you get a guy and it's Alvin Kamara and you're like, wow, we've got an extremely valuable back, right? And sometimes it happens at other positions too. We get Russell Wilson, 3rd round. Like, okay, you got really lucky. But
Derrick Henry is taken 45th overall in the draft, just as an example.
Very lucky. I mean, Brady, Wilson, Romo.
Kamara was not the first running back taken in his draft.
He was like the 3rd round pick, Kamara.
Yeah.
4th
exactly.
Yeah.
67th overall.
Yeah.
Plenty of running backs taken ahead of him.
Yeah. I mean, you got to get, Lamar Jackson was 32nd, right? They took Josh Rosen and they took Sam Darnold over him. Yeah. And it's, you have to be lucky, but that doesn't mean that, that the guy that you're getting isn't really important. And, Barkley, I think, is one of those guys, but he's been hurt so much that, there's jury, I think, is still out. He hasn't had the workload that McCaffrey's had or that Kamara's had or that Henry's had. So I think that's sort of, I think you look at a guy with that pedigree and then 91 catches and 5 yards of carry on a terrible team. Okay, that to me is pretty persuasive, but you'd like to see him get, 4 or 5 years of that and then make your conclusion. So, I think Henry's going to be really hard to replace. And this is actually a good test, right? If Tennessee doesn't miss a beat, then maybe I'm overrating Henry. Maybe I'm putting too much stock in him. And it's just a one sample thing, but it's a good test case, even though it's it's always a sample of one. But if Tennessee really struggles to run the ball, then
play action no longer works, then
it'll work still. But if the team the offense isn't the same, we can say, because I think the problem with football is it's, some guys were like, well, if Saquon were good, the Giants would win more. It's like, yeah, well, how about Trout, right? I mean, Trout were good. Would the Angels win more? Well,
yeah, and some idiots make that case too, by the way.
Right. But that's an idiotic case. But the reason why it's so easy to show it's idiotic in baseball is that baseball's a one-on-one sport. It's very easy to isolate Trout's rough value of 10 WAR or 9 WAR every single year. And you're like, dude, this is one of the best players of all time. His team just sucks around and that's not his fault. But with a running back, it's like, well, how's his offensive line? How's the play calling? Are they in the red zone? Are they mixing and matching? The defense can't see on it. Is the quarterback good at selling the play action? Is the offensive coordinator obvious when he's in running situations? Is everybody else having an easier time because the defense is keying on this guy? I mean, this stuff is very hard to measure in football because it's so interconnected. Is the defense good? And
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 the
keeping
game flow?
The whole thing, right? And so there's this very simplistic arguments made in football that people would try to make in baseball, but they get too easily debunked. That Trout's obviously really good. So I think that this will be a nice test, and it won't be dispositive, but it'll be a good data point in this debate.
I think you're right about that. All right, that's going to wrap up today's show. Want to thank WynnBET for sponsoring us. We got Jake and Joe tomorrow talking about free agents. It won't be Captain Obvious; they go deep. So Free Agent Tuesday coming up tomorrow. Thank you guys for listening. Have a great day.